It was a quiet afternoon at the Riviera Grand Hotel, a place where chandeliers sparkled, like frozen stars in the air, carried the scent of luxury and quiet privilege. Guests spoke in low, elegant tones, and every surface gleamed with the reflection of wealth. Among the graceful movements of servers in crisp uniforms was a young woman named Elara Bennett, her fingers nervously brushing against her apron as she tried to calm her racing heart. She had been working here for just over 2 weeks, another face in a world that barely noticed the people who served them. But that day, in the middle of all the noise and silence, one moment would change everything. For her, for a stranger, and for everyone who witnessed it. Elara had always been a quiet soul. Life had taught her to find comfort in silence. When she was 11, her father passed away suddenly, leaving her mother to raise Elara and her little sister, Maya, who had been born deaf. Money was scarce, but love wasn't. Elara learned sign language to talk to Maya, and soon it became her second nature, a language of hands, heart, and hope. Years later, when she got the job at Riviera Grand, she promised herself she would do her best, no matter how invisible she felt. That afternoon, she was assigned to Table 7, a private corner reserved for Mr. Lucas Hale, a powerful investor known for his cold precision, and his mother Evelyn Hale, a woman of elegance and quiet warmth. As Elara approached, she noticed something others might have missed. Evelyn didn't respond when spoken to. She only smiled gently, watching lips carefully. Then Elara saw it, a small hearing aid, almost hidden beneath her silver hair. Lucas was speaking slowly, leaning close so his mother could understand. His tone polite but tired. He seemed used to this, the world's impatience with silence. Elara hesitated, her heart pounding. Then, almost instinctively, she lifted her hands and began to sign. "Would you prefer still or sparkling water?" For a moment, the entire restaurant seemed to hold its breath. Evelyn's eyes widened and a single tear slipped down her cheek. Then she smiled, a deep, genuine smile that reached her soul, and replied in the same silent rhythm, "You know sign language?" Elara nodded, her own eyes glistening. Lucas froze, his usual composure fading into quiet astonishment. In that instant, his mother's face lit up in a way he hadn't seen in years. What followed was something no amount of money could buy. Elara signed every question, every menu detail, and added tiny jokes with her fingers that made Evelyn laugh softly. Other guests began to glance over, curious, touched, but none dared interrupt the quiet beauty of that moment. Lucas watched silently as his mother came alive again. He wasn't thinking about profits or projects. He was watching joy, pure and unguarded, return to the woman who had raised him. For Elara, though, every sign carried weight. She remembered her little sister, Maya, who had passed away 2 years earlier after a long illness. Signing again brought her pain, but also peace. It felt like, through Evelyn, she was speaking to her sister one last time. When the meal ended, Evelyn reached out and held Elara's trembling hands. Her eyes were full of tears as she signed, "You made me feel seen again." Elara replied with shaking fingers, "You reminded me love never leaves. It just changes its shape." Lucas stood speechless. After a long pause, he quietly thanked Elara, his voice softer than anyone had ever heard. Later, he asked to meet her privately. He told her how his mother had felt isolated for years, ignored, pitied, or misunderstood. No one had ever shown such understanding. Then he asked about her story. And when she mentioned Maya, he fell silent for a long moment. The next week, the hotel announced a new initiative, free sign language lessons for all staff, funded by Lucas Hale in memory of Maya Bennett. Elara never asked for it, but her kindness had inspired it. News of that day spread beyond the hotel. Guests shared it online, calling it the girl who spoke. Without words, millions were touched by the story of how a single act of empathy turned silence into connection. Evelyn continued visiting the hotel, always asking for Elara, and their bond became a symbol of quiet. Humanity, proof that compassion doesn't need a voice to be heard. Weeks later, as Elara stood by the large glass window, watching the sunset shimmer over the city, she thought of Maya and whispered softly, "Thank you